The development of state school PE. In this screencast you will learn about what PE looked like in different eras, what were the characteristics of PE in these eras, what physical activities did PE comprise of in each era, what was the different purpose of PE in each era, and why PE developed between each era and what were the reasons for change. Scene 1. PE pre-1870. What PE looked like pre-1870. In those days, PE had very few rules and was very unstructured. A lot of bullying occurred and riots occurred due to the class differences and the freedom the students had. The characteristics of PE pre-1870. PE students were male only. The boys were usually upper class with a few middle class boys. There were prefects. What physical activities did PE comprise of pre-1870? Mob games were played which were brought from the boys' home villages. These usually were very violent and could cause people to be hurt. Other activities included drinking, gambling, and hunting. What was the purpose of PE pre-1870? PE was carried out pre-1870 for the boys in their free time. If this happened now, it would be seen as leisure rather than PE, as no teaching was going on. Why did PE develop? PE was being developed at this stage to increase the boys' leadership, loyalty, discipline, teamwork, bravery, and decision-making skills. Scene 2. 1870 to 1900. What did PE look like in 1870? Before 1870, school was not compulsory, but in 1870, the Education Act was introduced, where it was made compulsory. This meant that different classes of people were mixing together. This meant that when PE happened, it was very cramped and crowded. What were the characteristics of PE in 1870? PE was attended by working class children as well as the upper and middle class. There were no recreational facilities. Conditions were cramped as there were many people. What physical activities did PE comprise of in 1870? At this time, PE included Swedish gymnastics, which formed the basis of early state school physical education. Free-flowing exercise were taught in an instructional style. The Swedish style was based on therapeutic principles. What was the purpose of PE in 1870? The purpose was to provide education for the working class. However, this meant that the working class families were not bringing in as much money as the children were not working, so it was not a very popular idea. The purpose was also to improve the children's obedience and discipline. Why did PE develop in 1870? During the Boer War, many lives were lost, and many British people blamed Swedish gymnastics as they did not believe that it was rigorous enough, physically or mentally. Scene 3, 1900 to 1933. What did PE look like in this era? In 1902, the model course gave training to the working class in the use of weapons. The model course was then replaced in 1904 by the syllabus of physical training. The government produced a syllabus that could be taught by teachers. The 1933 syllabus encouraged kids to use their imagination and work in groups. What are the characteristics of PE in this era? PE was taught originally by non-commissioned officers, then later taught by teachers. PE focused on the working class being able to use weapons for military services. PE encouraged children to use their imagination and focused on developing skills. What activities did PE comprise of? The model course, which were military-based exercises, and dance was used to teach children. Scene 4, 1933 to 1952. What did PE look like in this era? The 1933 syllabus had two sections, one section for under 11s and one for over 11s. The syllabus was detailed, high quality, and respected greatly. What were the characteristics of PE in this era? There were two sections of the syllabus, one for over 11s and one for under 11s. Group work was the main feature of work. Special clothing was worn during lessons. What activities did PE comprise of in this era? Activities included games, athletics, and gymnastics. What was the purpose of PE in this era? The purpose was to improve physical fitness, therapeutic results, good posture, and physique. Development of both the mind and the body was a key aim. Why did PE develop at this time? The industrial depression caused many of the working class people to be unemployed and living in poverty, so PE was developed to try and improve their skills and mindset. Scene 5, 1952 to 1988. What did PE look like in this era? By this stage, PE was child-focused, enjoyment-orientated, and progressive. Instead of teaching, the teachers guided the children. War equipment was introduced by this stage. What were the characteristics of PE at this time? Equipment was introduced such as ropes, bars, boxes and mats. Child-centered teaching style and playing fields were provided. What physical activities did PE comprise of in this era? PE included agility exercises, gymnastics, dance, games, and swimming. What was the purpose of PE between this time? PE aimed to develop physical, social, and cognitive skills to provide a variety of experiences in an enjoyable atmosphere. Scene 6, 1988 to now. What does PE look like? PE now is far more structured than it was in previous eras spoken about. In the late 1980s, the national curriculum for PE was formed. What are the characteristics of PE? PE is now compulsory. It also involves formal teaching and learning. What physical activities is PE comprised of? Now in PE, most sports are taught or played. The main known sports to be taught are football, basketball, rounders, cricket, rugby, athletics. These are just a few physical activities that are involved. What is the purpose of PE? The national curriculum was introduced as the government wanted more control over education, more teacher accountability, national standards for physical education, and a wider range of activities to be taught.